What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engineers Without Filters podcast. This is episode 13.
Lucky 13.
I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and I'm back on the Bell's Winter White Ale tonight.
Joseph DeGrandchamp with some good old hams. Really living life up tonight.
I'm Gabe Toman, and I'm trying, for the first time, Voodoo Ranger IPA from New Belgium.
That's a good one.
It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I had one sip.
Then I also have hams. So
there we go.
That's interesting.
That's Dayton.
Quite the spread.
As we mention every week, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram for all of our updates. Instagram, we have a funny picture every week, so tune in for that. Tonight's episode is going to be a little bit of a serious one. It's what I've been wanting to do for a while now. We're going to talk about mental health. And I think, starting off by saying, I feel like everyone kind of has something going on. You know, especially at our age, I think everyone has something, like some skeletons in their closet. It may not be, you know, a mental health issue, but it's probably something. So hopefully you can relate to this in some way, or you could use this to kind of help somebody you know who's kind of going through some stuff. But
real men have no problems.
Yeah. Or if they do, they don't talk about it.
You bottle it up and you dig it deep.
Racism.
I'll start off with, I want to start off by going around and saying kind of our personal experiences with mental health, whether it be your own or someone you know. And I can start things off. So, as I've kind of mentioned briefly on a few episodes of this podcast, I deal with some mild social anxiety. And what that essentially means is that in certain situations, I get really anxious, and that leads to me vomiting most of the time, which is not ideal.
Know that part.
Yeah, which is not ideal. And I've been dealing with it since about freshman year of high school. And it started with a girl, as most things do, I feel like.
Hear that? All women are the problem. Yeah. All mental health issues.
And basically I had a crush on this girl, and we were hanging out, and I got really worried. I'm like, oh, this might actually happen. And I'm like, wait a second, I need to go to the bathroom. And then I just puked my guts out. And then
like kissing, like
no, literally we're sitting on the couch watching a movie. I mean, this is me just thinking about it.
Thinking about what?
About just dating her, and being like, oh, we're hanging out. This might be going good, stuff like that.
Okay.
And
yikes.
So then after that, basically every time we were gonna hang out, even just in a group, I would still get really nervous about it, and sometimes I'd throw up beforehand. One time I threw up in my friend's car, driving to go. We were driving around, just me and my friends, and we got a phone call, and she's like, hey, you guys wanna hang out? And they're like, yeah. And my brain's like, that wasn't in the plan for today. And I got freaked out, and I threw up in the back of his car. Jeez. And he's not happy about that. But yeah, so
imagine that.
Yeah.
You're not even sick. What the hell, man?
Something tells me if someone puked in my car, I would not be happy.
No, yeah. I mean, they were like, we get it, but also it's like, dude. And I'm like, I know,
yeah.
But yeah. So and it also kind of transferred to sports sometimes, before cross country races or track races, I would throw up sometimes.
That's giving you an advantage.
Yeah, I got to drop that weight.
Yeah.
Weight reduction.
But yeah, so I've been dealing with it off and on ever since then, and I'm 21 now, so it's been 6 years of it. And some years been better than others. Last year was pretty good. I didn't have too many kind of anxiety-inducing incidents, I would say. It was actually going to New Zealand actually helped me a lot, because I was really anxious about that, kind of going to a whole new place, a new country I didn't know. And I was able to kind of overcome that, and actually met a lot of people there who were very supportive. And as I mentioned on the Friends podcast a couple episodes ago, kind of switching my kind of friend outlook to supportive as opposed to similar interests really helped a lot, and that helped me kind of open up about my anxiety more. And the more I talked about it with people, the actually easier it got. So that was really good, and obviously meeting you guys and talking to you guys about it has been good. And then this year I finally started going to counseling, which has actually been fantastic. It's one of those things where it's you always know you should go when you're kind of dealing with this stuff. You're like,
you're
it's
puking
whatever.
in friends' cars.
Yeah. You're like, I'll go eventually, but then you never do. And I finally went this year, and I'm like, I wish I would have done this years ago, because you get that new perspective on it and they tell you things that you would never really would have thought of on your own. Mm-hmm. So that's been really helpful. And I'm not saying I'm like cured. I mean, I still have bad days.
Well, thanks, I'm cured.
Yeah. I think last week I threw up a couple times. So I mean, I'm not fully cured yet, but feel like I'm getting better.
Was that for academic stuff that you puked? Like,
One
anxious about
Dude,
stuff to
you
do?
stealth puke. I've never. The only time I've seen you puke was the Halloween party.
that was because of alcohol.
Yeah,
Wasn't because
I know,
of anxiety.
exactly.
No, whenever I feel anxiety puke, I'm really good about hiding it.
I guess so.
No, yeah, I puked last week. One was due to. No, actually, they're both girl related. I don't want to get into name names on the podcast, but yeah. So, but you know, like I said, I'm getting better, and the more I talk about it, the easier it gets. So I guess that's one piece of advice. I guess if you're dealing with something, telling your friends about it, even though you might be scared of what they will think, it does help. So that's my 2 cents for now. But I don't know who wants to go next.
I thought it was interesting how you said, like, you know, I'm not cured, but like it's getting better. Because I mean, I personally don't struggle with like that sort of you know, mental health, and I think really in the big scheme of things, I have pretty good mental health, considering that, you know, going to engineering school and, you know, going to school in a place that's extremely prone to seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like naming off all these other like risk factors, I'm in a good spot. But I think a lot of people think that you can just go to counseling a few times and then poof, you're better.
No, that's not the case.
And it's interesting to me because, at least in my case, I feel like you never like fully like get past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always like remnants.
I think
of it.
some parts of it is just like a part of who you are, as much
Yeah.
as like it sucks, but you just
Yeah.
have to like accept it and deal with it the best you can.
So.
Yeah, you're only one side if you want to go too far into it, but back when you were in middle school, you dealt with some some depression stuff.
Yeah, back in middle school, I wish I would have actually told somebody about it.
Yeah.
When I was going through it, but yeah, middle school. I don't remember what year it was. I think it was late middle school. I remember that. But yeah, I got pretty depressed. Don't even remember what from. I don't know if I've just like repressed it or if I actually
Just could be also just like the hormone change of your
Yeah,
body, like
yeah.
fucking with you.
But yeah, that was a pretty shitty time. And I mean, obviously, I didn't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
Because that was like a very like hush topic.
Well, I mean,
especially
you were
back
really
then.
young, you know. It's like
Yeah.
you probably didn't even know what was going on fully.
I just thought I was sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, I got through it. And something that interests me about that is Alan was talking about like epigenetics and how you can actually like change like your body's response to like certain like stimuli. I think that's how it works. So I'm pretty sure like that's just what I ended up doing. Like I don't know, like it's not something that you can consciously do.
Yeah.
But if you like train your body to like act in a certain way after like a certain stimulus,
Yeah.
then you can actually change like how your genes are to respond in a certain way.
Well, it's interesting you say that because that's how I kind of view my anxiety as kind of like Pavlov's dog.
Yeah,
You guys are familiar
right,
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically,
We're all
It rings a bell.
yeah. For anybody who's listening who doesn't know, Pavlov's dog.
That was a terrible fucking joke. Jesus Christ.
For anyone who doesn't know, it was an old psychology experiment from back in the day. I don't know what year, but there was a scientist named Pavlov, and he
You
had
could
this.
strap dogs down the year.
Yeah. He had this dog, and basically, whenever he would feed it, he would ring a bell. So the dog would be like, "Oh, dinner time, eat food." But then he did it so often, like every time he ate, and then eventually he would just ring the bell, and the dog would start salivating, without any food actually present.
Classical conditioning at its finest.
Dude, that's what
Exactly.
my guinea pigs do. When they hear my alarm go off, they know I feed them.
Yeah.
There's that
They
funny
freak out.
episode of The Office where
Oh,
Jim
yeah.
Yeah.
conditions Dwight.
For the mint.
Yeah. Whatever. What was it? Phone call?
He played a noise or something. I actually don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it was-
Oh, it was every time he sneezed. That's what it was.
Mm.
Every time Dwight sneezed, he's like, mint.
And of course, got that resident office expert. over
I watched it one fucking time.
But yeah, so I feel like my body's been conditioned for bad stimulus, where even though my brain knows it's logical not to get anxiety and my stomach to flip over, when I get in certain situations, my body's like, oh, this is an anxiety situation. Now your stomach's gonna want to puke, and I'm like, no, like it's fine. Like no, it's not. So you're gonna puke, and I'm like, okay. So it's just been that trigger.
Yeah, it's gotta be hard to to reverse if it's been for so long.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's.
So that's where counseling comes in, I think. And one thing that's been really interesting recently is the game Celeste.
They talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
fantastic game.
Me and Gabe have recently played this game called Celeste, and if you're not into games, it's a game that came out recently. It's a platformer and
with a story.
With a story, and it's
Makes
basically
no sense.
it's a metaphor for kind of dealing with mental health. It's about this girl who wants to climb this mountain, and she doesn't really know why she wants to do it, but she wants to just do something. And along the way, she meets this other guy who's kind of like somebody to actually talk to. And she kind of opens up and says, like, yeah, I'm dealing with some depression, and then I just need to like get out of my own head and just kind of feel like I accomplished something. And this mountain, of course, because it's a video game, it's kind of magic, right? And at one point, there is this part of her that gets separated. It's kind of...
It's like the bad reflection of herself.
Yeah, the kind of the quote-unquote evil part of her.
Yeah. Well... They make it out to be evil.
Yeah. It starts out as, this is the evil part, right? And it keeps kind of interfering with her journey up the mountain. She's like, this is so frustrating. Like, why can't she just leave me alone? Why I need to like destroy her?
At one point, she's like tries to cut her out.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't even need you, and that's when she got sent back to like the base of the mountain.
Yeah, and basically she realizes that this part of her, it is her depression, it is her anxiety, but it's not to be destroyed. They're supposed to work together. And that really hit me hard because that's something my therapist actually talked to me about, is that the reason I get anxiety about girls essentially is because that's my 15-year-old self kind of being really immature and trying to quote unquote protect me. And that's my like defense mechanism, right? So it's that part of me that I thought I wanted to get rid of, but at least she's basically saying like, no, you need to be like, hey, 15-year-old Jacob, it's okay.
Yeah.
21-year-old Jacob's got this.
And then you get a double jump.
And then I get a double jump. And I can get to the mountain a lot easier. But yeah, no, it was really weird. Because I had just talked about
that fantastic
in my therapy, and then it was literally just in that game, and I'm like, that is weird, but also super cool. And obviously the person who wrote that game has some experience with that stuff, because you're not that accurate without dealing with some shit.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool and kind of a good way to kind of get over some stuff. But
absolutely, I want to play that game again then.
Yeah, it's really good.
The soundtrack's good too.
Yeah. Gabe, do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a mixed bag, I guess. Like, middle school was really bad for me because, like, I didn't really have any friends, and, like, it was middle school.
Yeah.
Dude, middle school is rough for, literally everyone.
So
I feel like...
No one walks out of middle school happy.
Yeah,
no, everyone walks out happy because they don't have to deal with that shit anymore.
But I feel like everyone, like, no matter, like, your social standing in middle school, you could be top dog or you could be like the lowest rung on the...
There's just so much fucking hormones flying around.
It's just
rough.
It's just where they put kids to go through puberty before they get to high school. It's like, put you in a box so you can deal with your shit, and then when you get to high school you can actually learn stuff.
So that was really rough. But like high school it got better. College it got really good. Like we did the Are You Happy episode. Like I'm generally happy. But I feel like lately I've noticed there's a couple of things about myself. Because, like, this is a point in time, I feel like, in an age in our lives where we, like, start asking ourselves, like, who we want to be and, like, what kind of people we want to be. I feel like, I mean, I've talked about it before, but I noticed that, like, I'm not as confident as I'd like to be.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know, like, I struggle with, like, my identity is basically, like, I'm a nerd and I'm totally okay with that. Like, that's who I am. But at the same time, I struggle with it for some reason. Like, some part of it bothers me because... it's just who I am and it's what I like to do. Like, that's just the part of it. But I feel like that's kind of stemmed. And that with, like, also my parents, have always kind of made me indecisive. It's like, whenever I was a kid or even, like, now, like, even if I go back now, I'll say, like, what I'm going to do. And they, like, try and make me second guess myself. And they say it's to, like, give advice. But it doesn't work that way for me. It just, like, makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that, like, really fucks with me. And, like, so now I do a lot of, like, if I, like, know something's right, like, for example, I was fixing Dayton's computer, like, 2 months ago, and I knew what was wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say, like, force, like, complete certainty that it was wrong. Because there's always the what if, but, like, I just, like, I'm not confident in, like, my abilities, which is terrible if I want to get, like, you know, like, in a professional career, like I need to be good at that.
Yeah.
And like also just like confidence in myself, like how I look and how I act. Because like I have some awkward ass mannerisms. I just gotta lean into it. Like, you know.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like with awkwardness, if you do something awkward, and then like you like realize it, and then you kind of like try and like retract it back, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
If you like do something awkward and then you like laugh it off, or you like double down on it, then it becomes so much better.
And I mean, I feel like I've been getting way better with that, because like at this point, I've talked about it in the last episode, I can't change my mannerisms. They're gonna be the way they are. I'm just gonna be a fucking goof. But like if I like I'll make fun of myself at this point. Like I don't care. But I definitely feel like the thing that like kind of popped up in my head this last like year and a half is like I want to try and become more of a confident person before I leave school, so that like I can. I mean, obviously it's gonna take longer than that. Like everything's going to. So that's like the big thing. But there's also some small things I think that. Because like you were saying, like when you're thinking about it yourself, it's only in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I've mentally blocked myself on like a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I struggle with like how good I am at something because I like mentally tell myself that I can't do it, or like don't want to try it, or like don't put the effort in that I need to. Someone's getting pulled over.
So you think you need like that outside?
Yeah. So like
kind of
I started seeing a therapist because I mean I said I needed to for like 10 weeks, and then Jacob basically like walked me to the fucking door. Which
sometimes
that's what you need, because like I kept just putting it off.
Yeah.
Right.
I was trying to like force you, but it's very helpful to like have somebody like push you.
So
sometimes.
like so far, like I've only gone twice, and it's mostly just kind of been like the setup of like what you're gonna talk about, and like, what are some like minor things you can do, and I don't know, I gotta work towards it.
Yeah.
But besides that, I don't know, I think like in general I'm really happy, but if I want to like get like I really want to be good in my career, right, and I really want to be like a confident person at some point. Like no one wants to be like self-conscious all the time their whole life.
Yeah.
So it's something I have to work with.
Have you ever heard of the imposter syndrome?
No.
Where I mean,
a lot of creatives get it.
Yeah, and I'm arguably I would say that like everyone in like a professional setting probably gets it at some point or another. Where it largely just stems from like confidence issues, where you know you get to like a really like good job or something like that, or something that you really want to do.
Oh yeah, I heard
and
some
then
TED Talk.
And then what happens is like
You feel like you don't belong.
You feel like you don't belong. You feel like you can't do it, even though you're vastly like
you're already doing it.
Yeah, you're already doing it.
Yeah.
But you have like this nagging feeling that you are actually not like able to do it, and that you're like someone's gonna find out.
Yeah.
And because I mean I've had that like a few times like with engineering school. Like I'm just like, oh dude, what if like I'm actually like not like doing it like correctly or.
You know, it's funny. So I did remember that, but I watched that TED Talk in high school. I was like, oh, it's fucking stupid. I saw it this semester, and I was like, holy shit. like, that is crazy.
No, a lot of people I follow on YouTube talk about that, where, like, I mentioned Rooster Teeth, maybe not this podcast, but they're a company who's been creating content for 15 years. And some of their oldest members who have been creating videos and making people laugh for a long time will still be like, I don't deserve this. Like, I'm not good enough. You know, even though they've already been doing it for so long, it's like
Yeah, I feel like I struggle. I also totally struggle with like not like rewarding myself, but like feeling like I earned anything.
Yeah.
Like I've said before about the grades thing, like it's just never like good enough for me, I guess. Like I feel like I'm not putting my best effort towards anything at all. Like I just get to the point where I'm like I'm good enough at something and I just stop. That kind of bothers me. So I feel like one of these times I just gotta like climb that theoretical mountain and just like try and be the best at something and just like try my hardest.
Yeah, honestly, that takes a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
Discipline.
Nah, not discipline. It's willingness to fail. Because what scares me about like trying to become like the best at something is like, what if I put in all of my effort and I'm still not like as good as I want to be?
Yeah.
Like that personally scares me.
I think the part that like fucks with me so much is sometimes the other thing is like going off of that, I feel like I'm too scared to fail, and I feel like that's gonna fuck me over, because like I feel like I just make a bunch of safe decisions all the time, and sometimes it's not the bad hand to play, but I feel like at some point I just need to like do something that like is clearly more risky. But like if you think about it, a lot of the people that are like ridiculously successful take these massive risks, and like they either work out or you just don't hear about them.
Yeah.
But like you gotta at least try, and I feel like sometimes it goes back to that confidence issue where it's like, what if I fuck it up? And then I just think about like, if I fuck it up and how I don't try hard enough for it, and then it's like, oh, I'll just take the safe route.
Yeah.
Like,
I think part of my anxiety is I'm worried about failing. That's a lot of it, right? It's like, me and Gabe been at parties, Gabe be like, go talk to those girls. And I'm just like, fuck no, dude. I'm not talking to those random ass people. Because like, here's what goes in my head, Gabe. Is I'm gonna go
it's
up to
easier
them.
for me to tell you that just because I have a girlfriend, so I don't have to like take the rejection.
Yeah,
we met on
you
Tinder.
You
so,
don't have
like,
to take the rejection, and
Yeah.
you're just like, yeah, I'm not the one about to talk to them.
Yeah.
I don't get you. I get either it works out
Well,
or I
this
get to
is a-
laugh at you. You know?
This is a scenario
we
that
met
goes in
on
my head.
Tinder.
Yeah.
No, I know. This is a scenario. I was like, I'll go up to them, right? I'll try to talk to them, and they'll be awkward. Like, don't know what to say. Then I'm like, have to like slink away, and like, ah, shit, that was awkward. And then they're gonna be like, that guy was weird. Then tell everyone at the party and everyone they know that it was me. And I'm
See
the weird
that
one.
kid over.
And then nobody's ever gonna like me ever again. That's what I'm worried about. It's just totally unrealistic and illogical. But my brain is just a 15-year-old child, and it's stupid. So it's just like,
Yeah.
oh god,
I don't know.
anxiety's dumb.
I definitely have like some shit that I have to work through, but I don't know. I think at some point I just gotta like dive in it. Like for example, like certain video games or like even like a skill. Like I don't like doing anymore because if I suck at it right away, it's not worth it for me. Like, I want to have fun right away.
Need that instant gratification.
I do. Like I'm really bad at that.
Maybe you should follow the asceticism.
What?
Asceticism,
Yeah, whatever on that philosophy one.
ascetic principles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hedonism versus
Yeah.
asceticism.
I definitely that's like something else I have to work on because like there's some things that I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool to get into, but it's like, oh, you have to do that every day.
I was like, when I was like, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar.
yeah, and
I'm
you have
like,
to suck for like
guitar's
the first
hard.
year.
Nope.
But
Not
like,
doing that.
I feel like a lot of the stuff that requires that type of skill I did when I was younger and I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
snowboarding.
Well, you're
I
bad
was
at
total-
everything at that age, so
Yeah, exactly.
you
I
don't
was-
know what it's like to be good
But I
at
didn't give a
things.
shit. Like in snowboarding, I sucked for a whole fucking year. Like I was just the worst. I fell. I got hurt all the time. But like I just kept doing it. Now I'm just like, I just worry about like people seeing me, which makes no sense.
Like,
Well, now
an
there's
idiot.
like there's
Yeah.
so many.
I really want you.
Yeah,
to
and
get
like
stage.
I look like a fucking idiot, but like I have to like consciously like when you're doing it, like all right, yeah, these people are better than me, and like one of them's a fucking 4-year-old piece of shit. But you know, I just gotta like they don't, you know, they're never gonna really see me or talk about me. And I just gotta fucking like do it.
Yeah. I think our issue is like there's so many other options that are way easier. Like
Yeah.
back
For
to
sure.
the guitar example, say I could spend an hour every
Or
day,
you could watch a TV show.
or I could watch Netflix. Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's like I could be frustrated or I could be relaxed, and it's like yeah,
Yeah. But I'm sure
I get the instant gratification, but I don't
yeah,
get that.
but that
long-term
gratification at the end is probably like fucking amazing.
stuff. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that's one of the big reasons why I like woodworking, and I'm sure Joseph, you can relate to this too. But so I built last winter with my dad. We built a live edge black walnut desk for myself. Actually, 2 winters ago now.
It's a pretty
Yeah.
cool desk.
And I mean, this is a really nice desk. Like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. And you know, we got it as live slab wood, and it was just, you know, water stains on it. It looked like shit. But I got it for $80, which is like a complete steal for black walnut. And basically, it looked like shit, and I knew it was gonna take forever to get this thing like even looking remotely like a desk. But the end goal, or like the end product of it,
Probably
was
so
was
worth it. I mean, you still use it every day.
Yeah, and I mean, I get to look at it every day.
Yeah.
And at least for me, like when I'm trying to battle like the instant gratification versus delayed gratification, at least I can always find some small thing that I
You
get
can get
get a gratification like hit, you know.
Yeah.
From like when I was building the desk, when I was like sanding it down, and like I could finally see like the wood grain on it, I was like, whoa, this looks really good. I can't even imagine what it's gonna look like
When
when
you
I,
can
when
feel the difference from sanding to sand,
Yeah.
you know, each
Yeah.
time.
That's a good point. Is that those little kind of like checkpoints?
Mhm.
Because this is, I guess, kind of an analogy, but like, in video games, if you want to get like 100% of the game, right? There's like achievements you have to get all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And earlier this semester, Jesus.
Wow, that was fucking hot.
I've been
Getting some anxiety.
I've been
from
chugging
this?
beer because I'm so thirsty.
It's about to puke in our car.
I played the new Spider-Man game on PS4, right?
I heard that was easy.
Are you talking
to
about the web
100%.
slinging
It was
mechanic?
it was easy to 100%, but I really wanted to do it because I've never 100%. I gotten a platinum with it before,
Right.
and you know it didn't take a ton of time. It took some time, you know. And I go in and I'm like, okay, what can I do to kind of chip away at this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like when I know all the steps, it makes it easier. Like if I try to achieve some lofty goal but I don't know how to do it, I'm more like scared to do it.
I always feel like I have these great ideas, but like yeah.
Yeah, but
I
if you
just,
know like the step by step
I don't know how to
plan,
get there.
I feel like if I know that, it's a little easier to achieve the goal.
Yeah, I actually so I know I'm talking a lot. But I got like one more thing I want to talk about real quick
Yeah.
because I think Jacob is kind of the same way, where like I feel like I struggle with. I just realized this again, sitting in fucking internship doing nothing and
Yep.
just thinking of my own thoughts and like, oh, that's sad. But I think that like I struggle with just creating things in general.
Yeah.
Like I have, and I know people who like start as artists start like shit and whatever, but like I don't create anything.
You
Like,
create this podcast.
huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, I know, but that's just me talking. It's not good enough for me.
Yeah. But
Like,
it's still
I'm saying like
it's
when
still
I,
a creative outlet.
when I like make something, so like that's usually in the computer realm, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I made my webcam for my guinea pigs. I made a Plex server for the house. That isn't like to me like it's gratifying. It's like, oh, I did this, but I'm not the one who figured it out. I just go online and then like read a whole bunch of articles and then figure it out. Like it's not like me solving or like creating it. It's just me following a list.
Yeah, but you still did it though.
I don't know. It just feels like I'm not making anything.
Well, what would you want
Well,
to create? Like, do you want?
I
to,
think I don't want to like.
I can't see you as an artist. No offense.
Yeah, I
Unless,
know, but like I think I just worry that like I know I'm 21, but I worry that like if I die, like there's nothing that I did that would like stay behind besides like my interactions with people.
I was thinking about that the
Like,
other day.
Dayton would at least have a desk that's bomb as fuck. Like someone would buy that off his fucking rummage sale. Like when
But,
I
like-
die, they're like, oh, here's a fucking Raspberry Pi that. your
But
friends
Gabe,
made
also, it's
fun
like you
of
have to
for."
do what you want to do. Like, you could create a desk, but you really want to do that? Like, are you into woodworking?
No.
Like,
But I feel like I
you'll
have
have a
to-
legacy that's a desk, but you didn't care about it. You know?
Yeah,
It's
but I
like-
feel like I have to do it. I don't know.
I think you especially will relate to this because you're a self-proclaimed nihilist. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about the same exact thought. I don't know, like a week or two ago maybe, and I was like, you know what? Chances are,
No
I'm
one's gonna
probably
give a shit anyways.
I'm probably not gonna like make a lasting impact on like the world, except to me that's like incredibly freeing. It's like sweet. That means that I don't have shit to do except make a lasting impact on the people around me,
Yeah.
and I think that's what I strive for.
I have that thought a lot, and it's kind of a battle for me. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, nothing fucking matters, so why do I care?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, part of me is like, I have to do this to like at least prove to myself that I'm capable of doing it. Like I worry that sometimes I can't create things just because like I lack the skill in general, and I'm just like, not like following like things, but like I just like look stuff up and then like read about it and then I do it. It's not me doing it.
Right, and I feel like especially with your field, like in like the computer /
Yeah.
IT / networking
Exactly.
area, you need to be like literally the top of your field to create anything like
Exactly.
that.
There's
Because
no
you need to
form of
compile
creation.
so much knowledge to integrate systems together
Yeah.
like that.
Exactly, and that's what is kind of like upsetting about it is like you guys. Wow, I just burped like Jacob. You guys like at least are engineering something, I guess. Like you could like, my dad could fucking die today. I hope he doesn't. But he could like just point at like what he did and like he like created like this diagram or he like made this part or whatever. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of sucks. Like, be like, oh, I helped fix this issue by Googling something.
Well, I just thought maybe something that you could do is in your field, maybe one outlet would be like open source stuff, because that's a little bit more
Yeah.
creative and like solving issues. Because you have like the toolbox, but you don't necessarily have to put them together a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you're doing like Raspberry Pi stuff, that's all kind of already all done.
Yeah, everything's already been done.
But if you do open source stuff, people are still kind of figuring it out, and you can use those tools to kind of maybe make something.
Yeah,
So
I guess that's true. I don't know. It's like something that bothers me.
yeah, I get that.
I mean, the thing is, like, again, I definitely like am more of a nihilist, but for some reason that's like a struggling thing in my head. It's like, hey, do something, like make something.
Yeah.
I was again thinking about something that you just said like a few weeks ago, and I think I was just driving when I came up with this. I was just like zoned out, like on the drive to campus or something like that. It's kind of bad. But
Driving a half-ton steel box down the road, you really should pay attention.
That's beside the point. I was thinking, like, I think every human at some point or another has like just an instinctual drive to be creative and create something,
Or to be useful.
I don't know. At least for me, yeah, but
Or like have some sort of meaning.
I didn't think about that.
Okay, yeah.
My thought was only about like some sort of creative outlet.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's really important for a lot of people because, you know, it's basically means that you're not just wasting your time. Like you're doing something, and I don't know. I feel like it grows you, kind of as a person too.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. There's something bothering me, man.
Joseph, have you dealt with anything or have somebody in your life that was dealing with stuff?
I had a similar experience to Dayton through middle school where I went through like
Join the fucking club.
well, yeah, but it was a bad spot for a while. I don't know. I had friends growing up until middle school, and then I kind of drifted away from them. And then so for most of middle school, I was trying to find who I wanted to be friends with. And that's a bad time to do that. So like I'm still really great friends with them, but like in elementary school, these two guys, we went to church together. Like we've been friends like up until, and like I still really like I try to hang out with them when I can. But they kind of became hicks, and it was like, I don't want to be a hick. Like that's not my
Farmer Joseph.
Yeah, like I already grew up on a farm. Like I don't need any more of that, you know. I don't need to be wearing camo boots and go hunting every weekend.
You were cycling between the camo and like Aeropostale. That shit was everywhere in middle school.
Oh god. But dude, good old Aeropostale. It's just a throwback to.
How are they still a company?
Because they're still kids.
They
in middle
rebranded. They sort of rebranded, and like they're not doing like the
massive logos.
The massive logos. They're doing more subtle stuff that is a lot more wearable.
It was like American Eagle too. That was like the same shit.
Yeah.
I like them. I'm actually wearing American Eagle right now.
Abercrombie.
Abercrombie's pretty bad.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, anyway. So I had a bit of a rough period. I also, as I mentioned previously, had like some anger issues in high school. Which I shouldn't say pretty sure. I'm going to blame my friends in high school for that. They really like pushing my buttons and they really like seeing me explode.
See, I feel like we haven't seen you ever become like angry.
I don't think I've ever really been,
I've seen you frustrated a couple times. But
yeah, no, I don't think I've ever really gotten
I've never seen you
super
It's
angry.
weird. I've never seen you pissed.
Probably once or twice freshman year. But really the only time it happens is when I'm home. My family and my friends, man, they push
my
my buttons. I think part of it is because I've known them for so long that it's like I have all those experiences. Like my sister's like bullying me for a long time, so it's like I have that like grudge, which like I don't have a grudge, but like there's still like I'm still reminded by like of those things. And so it's like it's just one more thing to the list kind of deal.
Yeah.
And in middle school I definitely dealt with feeling like I wasn't appreciated as much by my family. That was really rough. It always felt like one of my older sisters was like the favorite, and so that really took a toll on me. Where there's a really funny story. We were hanging out, and my friends were at my house, and my parents asked me to do something, and I don't remember what it was, but I was like, okay, I'm hanging out with my friends, like It was like something like unload the dishwasher or like just some menial chore. Like it in the grand scheme of things, like wasn't that bad. But they asked me to do it, and I'm like, I'm hanging out with my friends, and they're like, I don't care, just it'll take 5 minutes. They can talk to you while you're doing this. I'm like, okay. I go upstairs, and my sister is on the couch just watching TV. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I am doing other things. Like, how are you're just going to make me do this? Yeah. And, like, stuff like that really built up. So that definitely had an impact, especially when I was younger. Because, you know, at that point, everything's about me, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, oh, they're doing this to get at me.
Yeah. I definitely feel like I also didn't have a ton of attention when I was younger. Because, like, I was doing fine in school, and that was, like, their main gradient of, like, who you were as a person, like my parents.
Yeah.
So, like, they focused more on, like, my brother and my stepbrother. And it's just, like, it kind of sucks.
See, I feel like...
I learned to live without it.
I feel like my parents paid more attention to me just because I was the boy, so I was unpredictable for them. Because I have 3 older sisters, so, like, okay, I can handle girls. Like, you know, they're going to do these stupid things, and they're going to be smart about these things. And then I come along, and I'm stupid about completely different things, but smart about different things also. So, you know, I'm a wild card, you know, at some points. So there is, I think that was part of it. I mean, it may not have been, but, and I can definitely see how, like, okay, when my 2 older sisters, as an anecdote, would mow the lawn, and they would go back and forth. One week, one sister would do it, the next week the other sister. And then they went off to college and, you know, did other things and, like, weren't around in the summer, so then my dad mowed the lawn for a little bit, and then he taught me how to mow the lawn and, you know, how to use the lawnmower, all this stuff, and it was fine. And then one day I'm mowing the lawn, and I'm like, wait a second. My other sisters never fucking touched the lawnmower before. Like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, come the fuck on. Like, this is ridiculous.
Dude, gender roles, man.
Yeah.
See, I feel like my sisters are... It's like they feel the same way that you feel, but about me.
Really?
Yeah, they feel like I've been preferentially treated in terms of how much I can get away with, and I guess that's like not chores. I do more chores than them, but
being able to stay out later and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's just because they're like
they don't care anymore.
Yeah, like, I don't know. He's gonna do what he wants to do anyway, so like can't.
Well, no, I've definitely gotten that, and like looking back on it, it's like okay, I can. I mowed the lawn, but like I got yelled at for curfew once when I broke the curfew every other night. Like, okay, I'll take that, you know.
So Joseph, when do you think things kind of changed for you? Was it going to college?
Definitely. I think. Well, yeah, I will say in high school, I definitely got. I mean, I got over the middle school depression, and high school was. I really enjoyed high school. Everyone gives high school a bad rap, but like I was one of those dumb kids in high school that just did stupid shit all the time. I was a smart kid that did dumb shit. So like,
that's like what I was too.
Exactly, like you know, I got good grades, but I'd be snarky to the teachers, you know, and so like they'd hate me in class, but I'd turn in a paper and it'd be 100%. And so, like, they'd hate... Okay, well...
It is in high school.
It's a high school paper, like...
Shit. That means he wrote his name on the paper.
Yeah. It's like, it means I turned something in. So, like... But yeah, like, I would do well in class, but I would also, like, just...
Leave the windows open in winter.
Yeah. I would just mess around with the teachers and just, like... I mean, depending on who the teacher was, but I was kind of a shitty student, like, in that respect. So, like, they'd hate me doubly because I would just, like, screw around, but then I wasn't one of the screw-ups, you know, and, like, that's how my friends and I were. So, like, that definitely, you know, made high school really great because you just more...
dicking around for 4 years.
It was more time to dick around, and pretty much what I do now in college. But I definitely, like... Yeah, like I said, I've like gotten past like the anger, at least for the most part. I like to think I've calmed down quite a bit. But I think it's from over the summer. I I started getting depression a little bit. It's not that bad. It's very mild, but it's definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it stemmed from this summer being, working at an internship outside of
that made me depressed.
my hometown. Because, granted, I lived with one of my friends from high school, and like, it was great in that respect. But I'd go to work and I wouldn't do anything, and I'd come back. It was in like a suburb, so there's nothing to do directly around me.
Yeah.
So there's just nothing to do. I'd go to work, do nothing, go home, do nothing.
Yeah.
And so I tried my best to like go out and like play disc golf, or like I bought a longboard so I could like ride that around.
It's really hard to break that.
Yeah.
Like for me, like the big turning point was I had someone give me my bike from here
Mm-hmm.
to Lansing. Like even that was hard for me. Like I had very similar experience where like I didn't do shit at work and then I'd come home and then I'd try and do something to like make it worth it. And I'd go biking like 3-4 times out of the 5 days out of the week.
Yeah.
See, it's something to do, but like it just like didn't satisfy.
Yeah, I also got pretty down this summer just because I was living alone in a city where I didn't know anybody because my coworkers all live in other cities.
Okay,
And-
but that area that you're in fucking sucks.
Yeah. I was in Middle Michigan. It was bad. And basically every night I would just get home, eat dinner, and I would just like go on my computer and drink beer.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
played so much PUBG this summer.
Yeah. And my anxiety actually got pretty bad near the end, and it was, yeah, I was pretty down. Once I got back up here and like saw you guys, like it got a lot better. I think people really make a difference.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
Do
like
you guys worry that like I kind of worry because of that? I mean, I'm sorry, I keep cutting off Joseph, but I feel like that I worry that when I'm done with college and I get a job that I'm gonna go back into that mentality. Like I feel like I got to look forward a year and a half or whatever because like I'll be done like in the next fall. So I don't know. I just like worry that like that's just like my future. We're like you guys are all gonna be we're not gonna be in the same area. It's just not gonna be the way it is. I have to make new friends and like there's a potential where it's just like the job I'm at, people just suck. Like but going back to the first episode, you don't pick your coworkers, and they can make or break it.
Yeah, it's I worry about that too, man. Like I was thankful that the place I was at this summer, I had met some cool people, but they were a lot older than I was. Like I was, 21, and they were like 35ish. And like they were cool. We hung out, but it was still kind of weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm worried about like, cause I like living alone, because you kind of get to control your own place and your own space, but
It's also lonely as
it's
fuck.
it's lonely, man, and so I'm worried about that.
There was a couple like weeks after work I just wouldn't see anybody, like weeks at a time.
Yeah.
That was rough.
I think that's important. I mean, for all of us, like to kind of keep in touch with each other. I think during that time, it's even just like hopping on like Discord and just saying hi and stuff, because that connection I think really can change things.
Yeah, if Discord didn't exist over the summer, I would have been way more depressed.
I mean, I think Cooper's going through this right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he.
And I mean, I know we give him a lot of flack.
Yeah.
I mean,
What?
I mean, we give each other a lot of we give everyone in our group a lot of
He
flack.
gets the most.
He obviously gets the most.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't dish it back.
Yeah.
so he's the easiest target.
He's doing it to himself.
But I mean, Cooper, if you're listening, let's have a talk about
To be fair,
how you're doing.
I think I do worry about that with him, but also I feel like he has making a lot of friends at where he's working, because there's a lot of similar-
Yeah, I feel like we just don't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
Well, he interned there, so he knows a lot of people that also were interning there.
Mhm.
He has a lot of friends through that he now works with.
Right.
So I know, because like I hung out with him before classes started, and like we met up with his coworkers, and they're all about the same age, and like they were fun people.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, no, it's
I'm sure it still bothers him. I feel like part of it. Like I remember talking to him the last time he was up here, and like he said something along the line. Like I just feel like it's just not as like satisfying. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna give a little anecdote of something that occurred this semester. So I have a friend who, they also deal with a similar kind of anxiety to me. Kind of a not always social, but just kind of a general anxiety stuff. And they've opened up to me a couple times about it. And there was one day where they texted me and like, hey, I just really need to talk. Like I'm just having a really, really bad day. And went to talk to them, and they were really struggling because there was stuff going with their roommate, and their boyfriend, and they weren't eating very much, and just wasn't going well. And thankfully, them telling me all this kind of helped them kind of calm down a little bit and kind of get centered. But I asked them about if counseling, if they thought about going to counseling, and they said that they used to go their freshman year, and they're a senior now. And so they started going to counseling. Things were not going so good, but then they started dating their now boyfriend, and things were good again. So they stopped going to counseling. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that's, I think, really hard about going to counseling, is that it's not hard to go when things are going bad. It's hard to go when things are going good. You don't feel like you need to go.
It's the same thing with like taking your antidepressant medicine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you're having a bad day, you're like, oh, this will cure me.
Mm-hmm.
You're having a good day, you're like, I don't need that today.
Yeah.
And medication's a whole is kind of another topic, I think. But for counseling, I think it is difficult, and it's actually funny because this semester, like after like the day before my like third session with my therapist, it was the day after we did the first episode of the podcast, and I was so excited about it because I thought it was so fun, it was so cool, we're doing this. I was in such a good mood, and we went in and we were doing this exercise where basically I would try to like picture the first time I got anxiety and try to like bring up the memory and those feelings. And I told her like I'm just having a hard time doing it today because I'm in such a good mood. I'm like I'm just so happy, and I'm thinking about this podcast. I'm so excited, and I thought that was like a bad thing because I should be channeling like this memory, which is like no, that's a good thing. Like bring those happy emotions like into that memory.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people are gonna say like, oh, I don't need to go to counseling anymore because I'm good now. But I think that's like the most important time to go to counseling, because that reinforces those good feelings with that place. So counseling isn't just the place you go when you're feeling bad, but it's also a place you go when you're feeling good to feel supported.
Right.
And back to this person, like they're saying like, I'm dealing with all this stuff, but like, when is it bad enough, or it's like, okay, now it's time to go to counseling. And I'm like, now. Like you don't need a limit. You don't need an aha moment. You don't need to be going through like X amount of shit to be like, okay, now it's counseling time. Like go when you're dealing with just the littlest thing, especially when if you're at a university where they have free counseling. Just go. And we have an issue here where scheduling can be an issue because there's not a ton of counselors, and there's a lot of students who need it. I know Gabe has dealt with that, and I've dealt with it too, where you have to wait.
I've gone twice, and I signed up November.
Yeah, it's been a while. And that is
before that.
That's frustrating, but honestly, especially if it's free, go.
I wonder. Obviously we don't know this because we don't have like our own healthcare. We're just mooching off of our parents.
Exactly.
So like I don't know if like our parents' healthcare, like whatever plan that we're on covers.
I know that some do, because I actually did go to counseling one time in high school because my mom had like 5 free sessions or something. Yeah. And actually, when I went then, I didn't really love the counselor. And that can be hard. Like, you can be like, okay, I'm finally going to go. And then you meet the person, you're like, this is just not going to work. Like, this person, I don't really connect with them. And that's really difficult. But if that's happened to you, I encourage you to try again. Because it's not counseling that's bad. It was just that person that you didn't connect with.
Yeah.
And it can be hard to kind of get up and try again. But I encourage you to do so because I think it can be really important. But I think kind of the main theme of all this, I think, is that people really do help. Like the people who are around you and who support you can really make you feel a lot better, and really opening up to them helps. Like the more you talk about your shit, the easier it gets, and you'll find out that everyone else has shit too. Like everyone has skeletons in the closet. And I think, especially like in 2018, almost 2019, because it'll be 2019 by the time you guys hear this, I think people are talking about this stuff more. And Dayton, one time we were talking about like if we thought that people a long time ago actually had anxiety and depression.
Oh yeah.
But they like never talked about it. And it's funny because I asked my therapist that, and she's like, well, back in like the Great Depression, people weren't depressed. They were just trying to figure out how they were going to survive. They didn't have time to be anxious or to be depressed. They were figuring out where their next meal was coming from.
I just feel like we have so much luxury in our lives.
Yeah.
Their minds were so busy.
We have time to like think about this, but much whether it's better, good, or worse.
Yeah, and anxiety is fight or flight, but you have nothing to do with that. That's, back in the day, fight or flight would protect us from danger, and now we have that same instinct, but there's no danger, but we think there is.
Dude, we have not evolved fast enough. We're still fucking monkeys.
I did have I wrote it down in my notebook. Because, when I get bored, like in class or whatever, I just kind of let my mind wander. And it kind of goes in some interesting places sometimes, but it also comes up some neat little morsels. And I was thinking, is like kind of opening up about, like mental health, is that going to be like a key point in like society? Like, is that what
in history kind of?
Yeah. Like, I feel like it's just now starting to become very open. Like, people are talking about it, like, with their friends and, with their family. And then they're also opening up to a broader audience, like on
social
like
media.
other, like social media, podcasts, videos, like YouTube videos, movies, a lot of mainstream media. And I think that it's going to be like kind of a major milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because my dad is very stereotypically the guy who's
Stoic.
like, yeah, he doesn't show any fucking emotion. I mean, talking about it, like, I think last episode a little bit, but like, he doesn't even show. The only time like I've ever seen him cry was like at my grandpa's funeral, and that was it. He just like doesn't show anything or talks about anything that bothers him. But the last time that I went down there, I had noticed he was reading the book 12 Rules for Life.
Oh yeah, Jordan Peterson.
And like that was the first moment where I realized that like he's got mental struggles too.
Yeah.
And he just like literally never talks about them.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Joseph, I know we like totally cut you off in sidetrack, so I didn't know if you wanted to finish what you were saying.
I don't even remember what I was saying or where.
We just hit college in your great walk through your depression.
I say that because I think I mentioned that it started during this summer.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's when like it actually started,
It's
but
hard
that
to pinpoint.
exactly that's like where I can say that it was noticeable.
It's just a general feeling.
Because I can say, like, okay, previous to that, I had broken up with a girlfriend. That, takes a toll on people.
Yeah.
Naturally.
And then even before that, like, I dated a girl previous to her, and that breakup was very rough on me, as you guys may remember. Did not sit well. I mean, that was my first girlfriend, so it just didn't. I didn't know how to handle it.
Yep.
Right, and I mean, it gets easier with each one.
Exactly, and so I don't know if it's like that's where it started, and then like I kind of suppressed it enough and like dealt with it enough that it like wasn't. I didn't think about it as much, and then just kind of built in the background kind of deal. I mean, obviously it's not something.
Festered.
Yeah, it's not something that like goes away, obviously. But
I'm sure you have good days and bad days.
yeah, but so it's hard to say like where, like I don't have like a moment where I threw up or anything like that to really pinpoint it. So
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe this helped me back in middle school. It's definitely helped me, like through like other breakups and whatnot, or other like hardships that I've been through. Is sure, your mind only wants to remember like the sad parts of it.
Yeah.
But remembering, like the joyful things that you did, and then the joy that you're getting now, that you lacked during like the relationship or post or before
Previously.
like the hardship.
Yeah.
I think it's important to focus on those too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely what I do. It's like, sure, like breakups suck.
Yeah.
All that's really saying is that, hey,
That means it was good,
Yeah, it was good, and now it's just it's better for us to go different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to look back on those like happy, like pictures especially.
Yeah.
Like I don't delete pictures of like memories that I've made with.
You don't cross out your ex's face in every photo. Just
No,
get out of here.
Cut it out.
I think that's so rude. I think that
Yeah.
dehumanizes your significant other in the past.
Yeah.
Like you obviously cared about them.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it's just like, oh, like you don't even matter to me anymore. It's like, are you kidding me? You spent so much time and effort and emotional, just like time with them to just cut them out and just be like, no, don't care about you anymore. It's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why I still have like a good, like relationship with my exes. Is because I'm not like, oh fuck you, like I don't want to see you anymore. It's just like
I think it's a defense mechanism to like justify.
I think it's just like an initial response, like because I know too. It's like I don't want to be reminded of it right now. I don't want to be reminded of the good right now while I'm going through this shit.
Yeah.
I want to wade through the shit. I want to wade out of the shit before I like look back and see the good. Mm-hmm. Because then it's like, okay, you might only see the good, or you might only depending on what you get from it.
I guess when I do that, I always just remind myself of, what kind of like made myself want to like get out of that situation. Yeah, which is very easy to forget about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You saying that reminded me of one of the guys I follow. He's talking about how like he never, like he doesn't delete any pictures for his past relationship because he feels like every interaction you have with somebody teaches you something, and obviously you're with these people for a long time and that you cared about them, and even if you learned what you don't want in a relationship,
you learn something.
And it's like with internships, right? If you don't like your internship, at least you learn what you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. So it's just something positive. And then I guess another phrase I've heard recently, which I'm not saying always applies for depression. I think it can be a dangerous phrase, but I think for other stuff it can be good. Is if you're going through hell, keep going. Because we can often want to just kind of hide and not deal with our shit, but I think it's important to kind of get through it and kind of face it head on. Because I think I spent a lot of my time kind of hiding my anxiety, but facing it head on is a lot more productive. Mm-hmm. So
it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's the shitty part.
Yeah, no, it's not easy. It's not. It's not a scientific formula. It's not a math equation, right? There's no true answer. It's more like a book report where you have to figure out what the author was thinking. It's like there's no way to understand, like, what does the owl mean in the story? It's like shit like that,
The door was blue because they were depressed.
Yeah. There's no right answer, and that's why some people, like, I think my dad is a very logic-based problem solver, and that's why I don't really talk to him about my anxiety, because I feel like he wants a solution, he wants the correct answer, and I'm like, there isn't an answer. There's no magic pill or magic therapy that's gonna fix me like that, Yeah. So it's hard to deal with, but I do think talking about it and having friends does help. And I'll read it again, like, please, if you are really dealing with stuff, go to counseling. Because as much as it does help to talk to your friends aren't professionals. Yeah. And
don't have all the solutions or proposed solutions that will help.
I think the big thing for going to counseling is, like, sometimes when, like, I'm talking to you guys about stuff, it's almost like, oh shit, I'm burdening them with, like, my annoying shit. But, like, when you go to a counselor, it's like, they literally are getting paid to listen to me complain about my life.
Tell me more of your shit.
That is their job.
Yeah. And I guess if you are somebody who has a friend who's dealing with stuff, the best advice I can give is just to listen, and unjudgmentally listen. Like my one friend, I was dealing with some anxiety and I was telling her about it, and I was basically like,
She told you to get over it.
I was basically like, hey, I'm gonna be late because I'm throwing up in the bathroom. She's like, oh, it's fine, I was running late anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, it just treated it like it's a normal thing, and that actually just like made me laugh, and it was really refreshing, because most people are like, oh, are you okay? Well, it's like, no, it's fine, it's whatever. So
I'm imagining you laughing while puking. You're like one of those rotating sprinklers that go like that.
It's like laughing when pissing. Like, your aim gets all fucky.
I guess last thing I'll say is that if you are, ever have thoughts of like hurting yourself, please call the suicide hotline, because that's not good by any stretch of the imagination, and your life is worth living, and there are people who care about you. So please, if you don't feel comfortable telling someone about it, there are people out there who can help you. So there's that.
And life takes unexpected turns.
That it does.
Yeah.
So even though someone might be in a rut right now, you never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah, for sure. Things always can get better.
Do you want to do our second topic to lighten things up, or do you want to end it here?
We are cutting on time, so
let's do it first thing next episode.
Okay, we keep pushing off this topic of what's the coolest thing you've seen with your own eyes. and we'll do it next time. So that's a
Which is a disappointing.
Do it.
It's
as an
disappointing
opener.
that we've been pushing this off because it's giving me more time to think of it on
still
it.
can't think
But
of it.
I've still got nothing.
That's okay. That's okay. I
I feel
got
like
it.
mine just gonna be seeing like a double rainbow or something.
Don't spoil
Hey, save it for the next podcast.
But yeah, I hope you're having a good January. I think that's when we're posting.
Yeah, this will be in
Something like that.
January, and yeah,
Hang in there. It'll be okay.
next one will be a bit more light.
Yeah,
So-
we'll be drunk.
We'll be drunker and we won't be talking about this. we got good stuff coming up.
Dude, we
so.
should have talked about mental health when we were all fucking slammed.
Oh, you mean last night?
All right, thanks guys. Again, follow us on socials. If you missed any episodes, you can find them all on ewfpodcast.libsyn.com for a free download. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.